Hello, you're watching TVP World Talks. I'm Jonasz Rewiński. 10 days to make a deal or bad things will happen. This is Donald Trump's latest message to the regime in Tehran. Having stubbornly pursued its nuclear program and following a veritable carnage of anti-government protesters, the Iranian theocracy is now facing a massive US armada heading its way. Will Trump push for a diplomatic conclusion, or could he risk military action, despite possible economic ramifications which such action could bring? Joining us now is Andréas C. Hatzidiakos, Director at OPEWI, Europe's War Institute. Hello and welcome to TVP World.
Good morning.
So first of all, let's begin with the likelihood of attack. According to Axios, it is more likely now that Trump will use a kinetic solution after all. Would you agree with that? Do you think that this is what is going to happen within the next few days?
Well, I would say that both Iran and the US are flexing their muscles for the past few weeks. Iran has been doing some drills in the Strait of Hormuz. The US is doing a major buildup in the region. It has the illegal carrier already on site for a few weeks now. A few destroyers, F-22s, F-35s. There is the Ford carrier that is en route now, scheduled to arrive on the 26th of February. So things are starting to build up. They are moving out US personnel of the region. So, I mean, things show that Washington is taking things seriously. Could they launch today? Probably yes. I mean, even without the Ford carrier, the U.S. has more than enough firepower to launch some strike. Will they strike now? This is, to my mind, much less likely. As you pointed out, Trump gave 10 to 15 days to strike a meaningful deal. So launching now, I think, would not be wise on Trump's side. It would kill the leverage. Plus, let's not forget that in a few days, in 4 days, we have the Status of the Union address, which is Trump's prime platform to talk to Congress, to talk to the public. So rushing now into war, I don't think that is very likely. But what is sure is that the next 2 to 3 weeks are quite crucial and key, I think, and we'll see by the end, maximum of March, things resolve.
So speaking of muscle flexing, which you've mentioned, Iran not only has made a few grandiose gestures, including the Ayatollah himself publishing an AI-generated image of the USS Gerald Ford at the bottom of the ocean, which is stretching credulity a bit, but also they have actually been conducting drills with the Russian Navy. How significant is that? Is Russia likely to come to its allies' aid, or will it act more along the way of the situation in Venezuela? So protesting, of course, but not really doing anything.
Yes, I mean, as I said, it's everything is about showing muscles. Knowing if Russia will come to Iran's aid, this is unsure. I don't think that now we can make suppositions about that. What is sure is that if the US strike, it will be fast, and then Iran will retaliate. Chances are that Iran will retaliate alone, and this would have major impact on global economy, on the global oil exchange, blockade.
We're talking about the Hormuz Strait, right? We're talking about the possible blockade of the Hormuz Strait. What could it do to the supply chains on a global scale?
I mean, the Strait of Hormuz is the main waterway. It would mean immediate shortages in oil, and direct oil and energy prices spike. I mean, this would be on the short run. It would be difficult. On the long run, it would have much major implications also for us Europeans. So.
Yes, you've mentioned the European side there. Now, what implications exactly? How could it disrupt our capability of obtaining energy resources? Because it is not a minor part of our imports, right? There is a sizable section of oil which Europe uses that is coming from states located in that region. LNG imports too. So do you think that Europe is prepared to deal with that at this stage?
I mean, on the short term, definitely. Indeed, first of all, the Strait of Hormuz accounts for approximately 20% of oil that goes through there. Europeans, we rely a little bit on the oil coming from the region, but we have other sources. But I don't think this would be the main impact for us European. On the short term, yes. On the long term, I think we are looking at broader fallout. What happens if Iran retaliates and blockades the Strait of Hormuz? This would mean that more generally Israel would join. It would also mean potentially a proxy firestorm. I mean, with the Houthis in the Gulf of Aden, and also potentially some attacks on U.S. military bases around there. So Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, etc. So this then would also mean something different for Europeans. How do we react? How do we respond to that? Do we support the U.S.? That's also the question.
So there are many risk factors involved, but some people are saying this is a window of opportunity for the United States. You have a regime that has been trying to obtain nuclear weapons, and it is at its weakest that it has been in years due to the protests, which, by the way, claimed the lives of thousands of protesters. Yeah. So do you think that Trump is likely to risk that, disregarding, all the possible implications it might have for the global markets, perhaps even the firestorm that you've mentioned, even American bases possibly being hit by Iranian missiles? In the long term, could this actually make sense to topple that regime, or at least to strike it so hard that the opposition within becomes emboldened and has a chance of doing it on their own following these potential attacks?
Well, I think that Trump does not really care about toppling the regime per se. It cares about what positive impact it will have on himself, right? So even if we discuss about the deal, Trump, I don't believe he's looking for a permanent deal. He's looking for a realistic deal that the Iranians would accept, which would mean, for example, a 3 to 5 year freeze of the high-level nuclear enrichment, which would cover, coincidentally, Trump's term. He wants a win, right? He wants a win. As you said, he knows that the regime is quite weakened. He has the maximum leverage. He wants to continue to push pressure. Ideally, he would like to obtain not only the halt of the nuclear program, so enrichment caps and some timelines, but also he would like to put a cap on the ballistic missile program and potentially ask for Iran to stop supporting proxies in the region, which is, of course, a no-go for Iran. So I think that Trump wants to take advantage of the situation. I mean, the inflation in the region in Iran is 50%. The economy is crippling. Sanctions have been ongoing, and they have a lot of frozen assets that Iran wants to get back. So that's why also they are looking for a deal. I think that Trump looks also for, as I said, for short-term wins for him, which would also entail, because let's not forget that he calls himself a businessman, massive opportunities for American firms. So all in all, I wouldn't say that he's risking too much, because he's waiting also before doing any strike. I don't think he will go on a massive war. he's looking for to pressure Iran, much as he does in every negotiation he's conducting, to pressure until the other party caves.
Do you think that this is in any way comparable to Venezuela? In Venezuela, you had a very quick decapitating strike, but later apparently turned out that the rest of the regime could be bargained with, and that Trump could get what he wanted. Now, here we have a regime that is deeply rooted in an anti-American and anti-Israeli, by the way, ideology, which has been hostile and has shown that it is capable of meddling in the entire region. So in the entire Middle East, you actually have traces of Iranian operations. So do you think that Trump could sell any short, very quick operation as a win if it's just a couple of strikes, then the regime says, okay, so we're not going to pursue this nuclear program for the time being? Would that be enough? Also, for the Republican voter base, for the military-industrial complex, for all the decision makers and stakeholders in the US?
I think Venezuela, Iran are not comparable. As you said, I mean, Iran has a lot of other neighbors, Israel and other also allies of the US. I don't think it's exactly the same. I think that on the short term, targeted strikes are possible. We're not going to see a full-on war in Iran, but I think that having some targeted strikes, this is what Trump is going for, only after having exhausted, I believe, all diplomatic actions. I mean, for him, the opportunity is to get a win. A win is having businesses being open in the region, trying to secure allies in the region, making sure that he is seen on the domestic scene also as someone who brings a win back home.
Andréas Hatzidiakos was our guest today here on TVP World. Thank you very much for joining us and for sharing your insight. And I'm Jonasz. You're watching TVP World. Please stay with us for more latest news and updates.